Hello guys, today I'll be going over this game called Crusader Kings 3. I've been playing this for about a month now, so it's technically my first time doing it. I mean, I did a couple restarts here and there, but that was only after like going through it for like a few minutes, because like I needed to learn a strategy on how to build up my kingdom in the initial stage. Because in the initial stage, it's really important. So here is I'm playing as the Empire of Al-Andalus. Al-Andalus is what the medieval Moors, so the Muslims who were living in Spain at that time, called the Iberian Peninsula. So this land right here is the land of Spain and Portugal. So, and if you see in the bottom, it's year 1125 right now. And I've started this game when it was year 867 as a mere sheikh. A sheikh is like a count, but it's just Muslim term of count. So I was a sheikh of Banu Musa household based on Tutila and Nakira. So only these two counties, and I only held like 5 cities that were in it. Among those, I only controlled 2 of the castles, the Tudela Castle and Najira Castle, while others were controlled by my vassal. And in the beginning phase, all these 5 territories that were right next to it, so Burgos, Valladolid, Albania, Huellar, and Soria, they were owned by 5 different counts, or sheikhs, or no, they were Christians, so counts. And I initially started with just declaring war on 2 of them because I don't want to start war with everybody else from the start. But that was a wrong move, because by starting war with 2 of them and just conquering these 2 counties, like I've let the other counties get stronger, strong enough so that they would hire mercenaries, and I was being conquered. So when I declared, after like 2 retries, I declared war on every single one of them, all these 5. So all these 5 are what make up the Emirate of Castile. Emirate is like duchy, but just Muslim term. So when I declared on all these 5, they all immediately hired their levies, which in turn made them lose money, not gain money, so that they wouldn't have enough money for mercenaries at the end. So I defeated them one by one, because as NPCs, like they don't, and in real life, well, scratch that. As in NPCs, they can't really cooperate unless they get into alliances. So right then and there, like they didn't do that. So I was able to knock them out one by one, divide and conquer. Yep. So I got Soria first, then Burgos immediately afterwards, and then I got Valladolid right here, and then I immediately made myself an emir, like right when I got enough gold. But I didn't get enough gold at the time, so I had to wait. I had to wait as an overextended sheikh for a while. And then finally, I became an emir. And so after emir, it's called, in this mode, it's called Malik. So Malikid is like Sultanate. Sultanate is what Crusader Kings 2 called. But they call it Malik here. So see here the differences between Crusader Kings 2 and Crusader Kings 3. But in my opinion, I really like Crusader Kings 3 because it goes even further to make it so much more realistic. In the sense that the NPCs have gotten so much better, and especially like they have divided up each and every settlements within a county instead of putting them all at once. So I really love this layout. And so after that, after becoming Emir, so sometime later, one of the I would say the family members of the Sultan of Cordoba. That's what Cordoba was called back then by the Arabs who were living there, or Moors, or yeah, they're all similar people. After that, one of his family or siblings created Malachite of Castile, like off of my possession, because like as a liege you can do that. You can create the titles that your vassals control, so that and the vassals are prohibited from creating a title that's equal in level as their lieges. So I wasn't even able to create the Kingdom of Castile or Malachite of Castile. And then, and throughout the ways, because my stats were good, the Sultan of Kurtuba was making me as like spy. What was it? Yeah, the spy master. You know, I got to be spy master once and marshal once. And then this game can hold court sessions too. You see right here, it's my court. Got my throne right there, and some of these items. What is this? Ooh, court artifacts. Oh, that's Malukisa's statue. Keys to the Cabal. Yeah, these items are so beneficial, especially the skull cap of Charlemagne, which makes the powerful vassal extra 10 points on added. So anyways, after I think I went and conquered waged war on the Emirate of Leon too, or back then it was Kingdom of Leon. So as a Muslim leader, it was in my best interest to take out the Christian kingdoms first, because other Muslims will generally fight amongst each other, and that was the whole problem back then. It was the Muslims fighting each other that they lost control of the entirety of Iberian Peninsula. And I would explain my reasons later on why I chose the Muslim faction. But as of right now, I need to get along with the storyline. So after conquering the Duchy of Leon, I don't think I was able to go on further because like there were other Muslim states, like even the Emirate of Portugal was a Muslim state, so I didn't want to go further. And instead, I went all the way down, like I went towards the east and conquered the Duchy of Saragossa, or Emirate of Saragossa. It was ruled by another Muslim ruler. And if you see here, there's a different face or different Muslim group. So if I click on the religious icon, there's Muawwadis and Asharis. Ashar is the main one, based on the Arabian Peninsula in Egypt. and stretches even all the way into my land. And after conquering the Emirate of Zaragoza, I prepared myself to invade the Emirate of Tula, or so-called Toledo, because like in this specific game it had successfully remained independent from the Sultanate of Cordoba's control. So I was able to take all 4 of these counties at once. And, and then before that I have to explain where I place its capitals. So this game, it has so many other characteristics. So if you see, not here. If you see here, there are these perks. These perks on the top. This got pillar roads. It increases the holding taxes by 15%. So these perks like heavily affect your game scenarios. Well, not specifically in the sense of like literally changing the game altogether, but like it gives you more money or more development growth. So development is transferred into extra money as well. So, and back then when I controlled Valladolid, they had the peasants in there were willing to create the road networks for me. So I agreed to create or like give them funds to do it. Spent like 300 to 400 gold, like altogether, because along the way they needed more money for extra stuff, such as buying up properties or hiring guards. And then it gave me, I forgot, I think around 10 to 15% extra income. Yeah, I think so. And then back then it was so interesting. I was like, whoa, the road network in the city. Alright, I'm gonna set this up as my capital. So I did set it up as capital. Like, Burgos is the duchy county for this emirate of Castile. I would say, it should be called the best county here, because you can't build additional stuff. But my culture wasn't advanced enough for building all these things like road forts. So that road network really saved it, and I made this as capital of my land. And after that, I made Tula as my capital. You see here, even with just level 2 buildings, it makes like the similar amount of money as like other counties with full upgrades. It's not full upgrade. Yes, full upgrades. So after that, I waited patiently for the Sultan here, like Ulsark, to become weak, and then I literally declared war on the kingdom, the Mountain of Ulsark, and then I captured everything. So when I captured everything, I would say that I made a mistake of overextending myself without even preparing for it, because like when they were getting into factions to become independent, I was not able to stop them. So some of them became independent, and I had to accept fate. And then at the same time, so here's a problem about the Muslim factions. It's a free-for-all inheritance, in which like It's right here. Yes, the succession. Yeah, it's called Confederate partition. So all children inherit equally. So back then, I had control over Tula, and then the Saracosta, and some of the counties around them. And things were divided between like 4 of my kids. And then, oh yes, I conquered this area sometime before. I was in a conquering frenzy. I took care of this whole area before coming here. Yeah, it's all coming back together. And then I even took out Cortuba. So by the end, the Sultan of Andalusia, the original Sultan, had only this amount of land remaining. So the southern portion. How the Moors were during by the middle of 1200s, or even early 1200s, lost everything. But the difference here was that I made the Andalusia as my primary title, and then I started integrating this Emirate of Saracosta into my kingdom. So kingdom of, or Malachite of Andalusia, Old Andalus. So integrating the title means that you're basically making that emirate or duchy part of the kingdom. So I pressed the kingdom button, and it didn't look like this in the beginning. And in the beginning, I wanted to expand the kingdom of Castile to all the way down here, like how the real history kingdom of Castile went all the way down here. But when I looked at how much money the Cordoba was making compared to everywhere else, look at here, it's 23. It just easily takes up 3 of these high-paying counties. This one county alone easily takes over 3 of the high-paying ones. And I'm saying high-paying ones because other places like Madrid pays only 2.5. I'm keeping that because I'm waiting to build a university there. And Giant, I don't know why I'm still keeping this around with measly 2.8. I might as well give it to Emirate of Granada. So when I looked at this, I immediately changed my mind. So, and then I went with how it should have been. And where's Kingdom Palace? Oh yes, Kingdom Palace. So I don't know what happened. This Emirate of Silk or Algarve was originally with Zemsir, but I guess the Sultan had control of it, the original Sultan, and it went under all Andalus control. And then Kingdom of Leon, I integrated the title to under Castella, so it's a whole now. And I'm trying to integrate the Barcelona into all Sark because I don't want to make one kingdom area too strong. So that's why I'm taking the Duchy of Gascony into Navarra. Yes, like this game costs a lot of thinking and brain power to do it. So I have paused it here and there because of that. It's it's not easy to play. It takes a lot of strategies, and then I'm still constantly finding out more things about this game. So here's the culture, and I'm the culture head. So the culture head is you, that's me. And I've just started researching. Well, I have so much prestige to spend. I did not find about this until like in the game sense 2 years ago. So it will take 30 years to establish, and I am so far into the game. And what have I been doing? Well, if you see here, just conquering frenzy all the time, back-to-back wars. So before I got full control of Iberian Peninsula, I went all the way out to the east. What the history Moors have failed to do. They tried conquering Sardinia, but failed. Tried with Sicily, they succeeded with that one, but they failed to maintain control of southern Italy. So this is what it basically would have looked like if the Christian kingdoms in the north and the east failed to push them back out. And then, as I was going up, conquering, even Croatia, the Pope began declaring crusades on me. Like, it pretty much declared 2 crusades on me. So one crusade was for his own kingdom, so Kingdom of Romagna. So even though I had so much control in like all other areas, like all this bigger areas, he could have declared crusade on, even all Andalus. And I don't think I would have been able to take out all those Christian knights and stuff. But he being the Pope himself, decided that it was neat to expand this realm. Well, I was getting crushed with the Crusade stacks coming in. So I fought them up as best as I could, or as best as how much I was able to do within my power, without me becoming too weak so that my vassals would see me as an easy target and get into independence factions. So I obviously didn't try so hard, because this region was strategically not worth it that much, because it was far from me, and then it didn't have so many counties, so I didn't feel like I would lose out so much from that crusade. So instead, I started taking chunks of Kingdom of Aquitaine, and here was Kingdom of Brittany, so Brittany. And then one time I even declared Kingdom War on France and took all this land from the king. And that's when I was able to take the skull cap of Charlemagne that gives like boost on how the vassal thinks about you. And then, so I pretty much locked out the Kingdom of Aquitaine from any other Christian kingdoms to the east by just taking up all this land, and then all this land as well. Yes, when I was here's the important news to it, or information to it here if you're playing as a Muslim ruler. So, Iberian Peninsula, it's relatively easy. Like, depending on who you play and how much you have built up in military, it's relatively easy. Like these kingdoms here, the Kingdom of Leon, Navarra, they don't really get into much of alliances with other Christian kingdoms up north. Like, except for the Duchy of Barcelona, which is already under control of Aquitaine. So back then, even 10,000 soldiers are a lot of soldiers that you can't really beat. right now I have 100,000, over 100,000, but back then, like, even 10,000 is a lot that I could probably muster up with, like, boost it with, like, levies, and then mercenaries, yeah. So, take care of these, like, this Kingdom of Leon, which was right here. Like, take care of that one first before you wage war on anybody else. I mean, you could still do that if, like, wage war on anybody else if they're, like, weak enough. Like, oh, so I took out Kingdom of Navarra first before going for Leon, and all these sheikdoms or counts that were in the Castile, because I think if I know it right, in the beginning, Kingdom of Leon had like only a loose control over these counts. It's like, and that's how Kingdom of Castile was formed, because this area was called Castile, the land of castles. So there were just multiple separate counts just ruling it. So all those separate counts, you can beat them easily. And then, and then the good thing about the sheikdom of the Tutila and Nagira was that there's this military unit called the Loves Hosts, and they're like 600 men in total. And they're the game changers, because other counts don't have the host troops, or don't have their host troops. So anyways, that's how I ended up with like this much land. In Africa, I don't really, except for like this western coast and then Tahirt, this region, like the Africa like right here and then south, I pretty much just vassalized them. I offered them vassalage over time when they started to recognize my authority. So they weren't even like all these emirates. I've just vassalized them. So as you're growing, it's technically much easier to just vassalize them than like waging wars, because the land here is not that much of a worth. Like they are just measly amount of money. Like all these three regions, like the best one can only pull out 2.1. So you're not here for land grabs. You're just here for somebody who can just rule it in your name. See 1.8, and then 1.0. Like, what are you gonna do with those money? Like, whereas the Rome itself is 11.8 or 8.3. The reason why I'm not having the Kingdom of Romagna is because I wanna maintain control of Rome. It's like my vassals can have everything else, but I want Rome because it's a moneymaker. Oh, I can still upgrade. See here? Yeah. Whoa, man, this thing I can upgrade into level 5, and this is gonna give me 0.5 additional tax. Yes, I'm gonna upgrade this. It gives additional tax. Rome is pretty good. Like, not many counties in this world gives like over 10 gold every month. There are only so few of them that gives a lot of money. So, and then I pretty much partitioned the Kingdom of Romagna. I'm just gonna destroy this kingdom altogether. The papacy can go. So, and then I gave it to the what it's right now called Ayai Maliki, but it's main original title is Kingdom of Sicily, but Sicily is not not anymore because right now it's called Baleo-Tirrenia. I guess that's what they called this Mediterranean Sea as back then. I mean, that's another surprise that I enjoy because in Crusader Kings 2, I've always been anxious about Kingdom of Sicily having this big island and having so many troops. Because as an emperor, like if you're kings, any of them have just too many troops, like you're in danger. Like you're in danger of them trying to be independent or joining factions to overthrow you. So you wouldn't want. You gotta splice you gotta splice the strong regions and give those regions to the weaker regions or weaker kings, so that they get strengthened but not too strengthened. And then this is what I did over here as well. The Bedjai Malachite, that's Malachite of Tahert, or right now it's called Bedjai, because like depending on names they change. But this province right here, I transferred it to the Bedjai Malachite because this area is less productive and less populous than this area. Like you get the really nice trade cities here. The Tripoli, the Tunis. Let me show you them. The Tripoli right here. And like this guy himself has so many troops, like over 4,000. While this king, even with so much land under his control, he barely musters of over 5,000. So that's why I gave him extra land to govern. So Kingdom of Africa can just have this much, and Beja can have this much. And I also made sure that other than the Malachite of Al-Sark, that nobody else gets. Oh snap! What did I just do? That nobody else gets a kingdom title here. Like Malachite Kingdom, they're all same thing. Like it's just that who terms it is different. So that's like a couple reasons why I don't want any of them getting so strong. Like this guy here is okay, like because I was never able. Like, this Emirate of Murcia would just frequently act up and just join factions, so... Like, this is a iffy province right here. Iffy Emirate. Like, I don't like this guy. So I had this guy, the Emirate of Valencia, maintain control of Murcia and just keep a watch over him so that he doesn't rebel or anything. Yeah, that's another sacrifice that I had to make. Like, I couldn't just leave all this land without any kingdom. And then, since at the same time I want to have Barcelona under his control. Because if the Kingdom of Aquitaine gets it, then he'll get too strong. See here. Like, there are so many regions. I mean, even after taking Larita and Tudusha out, he still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regions under his control. Now that is a bit too much. It's like same as Tula right here. It has 6 regions, but it's at its max. So imagine that. Even after 2 counties taken out, you still have 6 left. So how many? That's 8 freaking counties. 8. Now that's too strong. So I had to give Emirate of Saracosta some room. So if you see here, like these 2 regions up north should have been his, but I've taken them out and gave them these 2, and this one as well. Because historically, the Saracosta or Zaragoza controlled the Tudela. Like, this whole game is so interesting. I mean, I like it very much. And I made sure to leave this area just without any king because it's relatively close to my capital and I don't want any powerful players near me. That's just mind of an emperor, I would say. And then somehow this land too, like I left it without any king because, like, when I was offering them vassalage, they demanded that I don't convert them. Like all these emirs, Ashari. And this guy's eat body. This, what is this? Like, it's an African faith. Oh, this guy's Mualadi. Yeah, he agreed to convert, like, sometime later. Yeah, but still, like, there are many Asharis, so before I convert everyone into Mualadi, I am not going to give any kingdoms. Like, I would have to in the near future because I have just too many vassals right now. I'm at 59 out of 60 allotted, and that's not good. So and then I've also, if you see Kingdom of Italy right here, it's only this big, but I let him have the top regions in exchange for Venice. With Venice taking over this nice fertile area right here. Yeah, the Malachite of Venice was so small that it shouldn't even be a kingdom, it should be a duchy, or just shake them. So I enlarged it artificially. And I'm also going to give the islands and peninsulas right along this coast, the Dalmatian coast, because that's how the Venice looked like in the past, and I love going by historical ways. And here, the Kingdom of France was getting too strong, so I gave some of the land to the Malachite of Burgundy, and it was such a pain taking out the Kingdom of Aquitaine. Still refuses to get out. Still refuses. Look, even with just one land under his control, he still has over 4,000 just purely his own men. That's not including the holy orders that he can hunt. He still refuses to go down. I don't know. It's because I used the Kingdom War on the France. So if I declare war on them, there's only holy wars. But if you declare the holy war, like, you're pretty much screwed because, like, within a few short months, Kingdom of Lotharingia would come in with his own holy order. Kingdom of Germany, and that's such a drag. And Kingdom of Bavaria, all these separate nations just coming at you all at once. Even if you have 100,000 men, like, against the heavily armored Christian knights, it wouldn't be enough to beat, even with twice the number. So they could just simply muster a mere 40,000 and would still probably beat my 100,000 men. I mean, that's how it was. Like, it's historically correct. I mean, it seems not fair, but by like how more numerous the African coast and the southern Iberia is, like numerous as in like population and troops. Like it has to be like that. The Christian regions are generally poorer and with less people, fewer people. I'm not talking about like all these Eastern Orthodox. I'm just focusing on the North Catholic regions. Like Eastern Orthodox is very rich, fertile lands, and it's pretty much like it has been a powerhouse for the Christianity in the past. So as a Muslim leader, I have to keep in mind that the Christian lands are not to be underestimated. It should be overestimated because of all the holy orders and the stacks of knights that they can throw at you. So I've only declared wars when they were not in alliance with anybody else, or in an alliance with the weak nations. So if you press it here and declare war, if you didn't use it up yet, then you could just simply conquer a kingdom. There's an option for that. But since I have used it up, I only have duchy and county, and the holy wars. And there was a time when I lost a war. Like, I declared war on the Duchy of Provence, and all of our allies, like it was ruled by a duchess back then. All of her allies just swooped in with their knights and holy orders and just beat the crap out of my levies and the few knights and let's see here. Yes, I didn't even have this many armored footmen before. I only had like 300. And I had like 500 cavalry, and then some catapults and 500 pikes and archers. That's all I had. So they beat the crap out of my troops, and after that, all my vassals revolted, and that's how I had to like give up on the. I had to let these. Valencia and Murcia become independent because they won the war against me. And out of both, like Murcia was more annoying, so I just let Valencia become the king instead of the other. So, and then toward what else is there to talk about? Oh, I've also conquered these places. The Serbia, I took land from him, and the Epirus, I also took land from him. But it's also a strategy because by now, with Papacy pretty much gone, like my main rival is Abbasid Empire, and I have in mind to declare myself as a righteous caliph. But then if I do that, like all these independent rulers or all these vassals who were originally Asharis, they will convert right back to Ashari, no matter if they're Muwalladi at the present. And I'm gonna lose support. So I would have to do it when this whole thing is consolidated into Muwalladis. That's my next milestone of goals. Yeah, I can do it right now, but it's gonna be so painful. Like 92 stress. I already have a stress bar, and that's not good. Yeah, like this. Crusader Kings 3 has more mechanisms, which makes the game so much more entertaining. And I definitely recommend it above Crusader Kings 2 because if you play the 3, you will never want to go back. For real, you'll never want to go back. I mean, there are some of the things, like the trade zones that you had in Medieval or Crusader Kings 2, that was generating so much income. But then like this game trades it off with having the rich counties like Kutuba. And then what was it? The Pilgrim Roads, yes. They trade that idea off by having other perks such as that. So you don't need the trade post because you're already making so much more money. I mean, and then yes, this guy still refuses to be Muslim. So, the strategy in getting France was that when you're conquering a fierce opponent, you need a beachhead. So that's why I took out the Kingdom of Britain first before going for France, because like when you get a beachhead, you could basically here's another thing that I have to explain. So this rally point, it's called a rally point. You can move it as you please. So you can pretty much set it up right here, group up troops, and then just go right east. That's like so much easier than say you group up troops here, and then going all the way across to north, and then finally reaching the capital. Because by then you would have already lost like, I would say like up to half of your supplies, and supplies are really crucial. The supplies are really crucial because the supplies are measured in 100, and then if your army is above the supply limit, so there's a supply limit right there, 8,525. If you have like 10,000, then that's like going over the supply limit. So they're gonna have to use the supplies that are in their reserves. And if you use up all your supplies, I don't think I've ever reached that point. I've gotten close, but immediately afterwards I would fix myself and adjust the troop number so that they get right amount of supplies. I think you would start losing hundreds of your troops at once if you're out of supplies. Like even without out of supplies, they already desert like 1% at a time per month, I think. So that's why I conquered Kingdom of Britain first before going for France. Like this place is so critical. It's just even with the real life, the Moors, if they had consolidated their conquest all the way up to even the north of Cantabrian Mountains, then they possibly would have set up the beachhead right here, right next to France. I mean, that's how they were doing it, like right in the initial stage. They were all the way up to Bordeaux. Is that how to pronounce it? I don't know. And then they've also claimed like half of this land, half of like what's seen on this highlighted portion. And then I think they also had a small state right here, like in the 9th century, called Fraxinatum. So like all those, it was such an interesting time period in which you could see like all those separate entities, just enclaves, exclaves. There's lots of power-hungry men just setting up kingdoms and small emirates here and there. to suit their own purposes. They had Emirate of Sicily, not Sardinia. That was never conquered entirely. And Majorca. Medieval ages, so many interesting games made out of it because it was such an interesting time period. And so, and here's why I say it's more like a real life in this game. It's because when I had conquered Britannia, and then I laid control of it for like, I would say like 50 years. The Nords from the north, like out of nowhere, they suddenly like sent me a message, and they're like, "Oh, we want this land right now. If you don't, then we're gonna take it by force." So I was freaking out at that point because they were coming in with like 8,000 men, and then I was scrambling to get my troops there. And then, like in the first round, my vassal there did like half the damage, so it was pretty easy for me to beat back the Nords. Germany and Denmark as well? Man, I didn't know that. Yes. Well, anyway, I strayed up away from the topic. So after beating back, I thought it was over. They came back again with another 8,000 men. I'm like, dang, these Vikings. Just never leave me alone. So I just, the second time I was more prepared, so I beat them back easily. And like, it reflects the real life is because like Lords have always frequently done that. They would raid and pillage, and that's how like cities like Dublin and Ireland was made, or because the Lords settled there and built up their settlements, and like, so that's why. All those additional challenges, like out of nowhere invasions, like those make this game really fun to play. So even with like taking pauses here and there, like it's fun when I get back to it. And like, so originally I wanted to let Emirate of Isbilia and Garnata independent, because I would ally with them and they would help me out during my wars. But then, like, circumstances, I don't know. You play the game, you just feel it when to get something. So I just ended up getting like, I think it was for becoming an emperor of Hispania. I think it was because of that, because I thought I had to conquer all of Iberia to become an emperor. But then it still didn't work. So what I had to do was transfer my capital all the way over to Venice, the Venetian island, right here, for like 40 years, because at the same time I wanted to integrate the Saracosta into Kingdom of Andalus. And it was such a hassle. Like this whole game, I think like I played like 80 hours by now. It was such a hassle to make it up to this point. And all these other lands, I mean, I got it because when he declared war on Kingdom of Italy and got his kingdom, like all his land that he had up in the north immediately transferred down under me, and then he himself became my vassal as well. Like, I got more than what I had expected. I was only thinking about taking up Kingdom of Italy, but I got everything else he controlled. So this game is sometimes it's so far from reality, sometimes it's closer, but overall it's made after hard work. Like, I really give credit for its creators. And finally, the reason why I chose Muslim faction of Iberia, like all this land, Kurtuba. Well, for understanding, I would address it as just English terms. So Cordoba, Toledo, Lisbon, and Zaragoza. All these cities were very important to the back then the Caliphate of Cordoba or Emirate of Cordoba. So other than like all these rich cities and provinces down south, like those four cities I just mentioned, they were the military bases of different emirates under the rule of Caliphate of Cordoba. And the Al-Andalus as a whole was like the center of science, knowledge, and the prosperity of Iberian Peninsula. So when the Christian kingdoms of North just conquered, or should I say reconquered, their land, I would say it was a destruction of so much knowledge and the productivity and prosperity of the Iberian Peninsula. Like, I read a Wikipedia page regarding the conquest of Granada and how it came about. So after expelling all the Moors who were living on the lands, like all of southern Iberia, there was a severe lack of farmers who were defending the orchards, like all those fruit trees that the Moors had provided previously to the Iberian Peninsula. And that's a lot of waste. Like this civilization contributed so much for the humanity's progress, and it was destroyed at once. And same for Byzantium. Based in Constantinople and the cities of Nicaea, Trebizond, Smyrna, Athens, Thessalonica. Where was it? Yeah, right here. Or it's called Thessalonica, yes. And then this region's Mesembria. It's supposed to be here somewhere. Yes, Mesembria. And then the Dyrrhachium. And then also the Chersonesus outpost right here. Like, all those cities and regions, Ankara and Iconium, had provided so much for the progress of the Byzantine Empire. And it was so disheartening to read, like, all those Turkish conquests and the loss of knowledge through Fourth Crusade. You see, even the Latins did some part in it too. The Fourth Crusade was like equivalent of, and here we can know that, like, those who you keep close to you can sometimes be so much worse than the enemies that you have right at that moment. Because it took the Turks so many years just to conquer everything, but the Latins just immediately went to Constantinople and just sacked the hell out of it. And I mean it, the hell out of it. And that was, I would say, like, equivalent of how the Almoravids and Almohads of North Africa conquered the Iberian Peninsula out of their own, like, their fellow Muslim rulers' hands. Because when they did that, they pretty much took out the Andalusians, the Moorish Andalusians' will to fight for themselves and to maintain hold of their countries. Like, I read another. Here's why I really love Wikipedia. Like, it has so much more information that you can't really get from elsewhere. Like, all those small information that are provided for Wikipedia, I've read a lot of those. And regardless of high school teachers hating it, I don't care. I love Wikipedia. Period. So when they conquered, and even back then, the emirs of Seville, Badajoz, or it's called Batallos in this one, like they hoped that the Almoravids would just beat up the Christian kingdom, and just return back to their own country, because like you could learn it from here. Appointing the righteous caliph, it says about Caliph Isa, so like faraway caliph, like elsewhere. It correlates to how the Almoravids and the Almohads can simply doesn't understand many of the subtle truths of moral thoughts. So they can't really understand what's going on in the Iberian Peninsula if you're not the Iberian yourself. So up here, the Muslims, they freely drink wine, and that's about as much that I know. And I am pretty certain that their teachings were a lot loose than the main branch of Islam. So it was to accommodate the numerous Christians that they ruled. So how the Almoravids and the Almohads, like, they did so much more damage than the Christian kings up north did at that time. And Almohads, it destroyed a salt like emirate that was right here, like what is supposed to be Al-Sark right now. I think it was Mardanasi Emirate. Anyways, like, it was a solid emirate that knew how to maintain its territory, and it was also hoping that Almohads don't just leave it alone. But it just had to beat it. Because it was they considered others as different Muslims. So much of the damage comes from fighting amongst each other. That's why when I became the Sheikh of Tutila and Nagira, I immediately went off just conquering the Christian lands. Yeah, it was such a disheartening information. Whenever I read how the Moorish civilization was like destroyed within centuries. I mean, to be fair, it was originally Visigothic land, and there were Christians. But I don't know, it just had a great great system of ruling, and it was so advanced, and I just hate seeing progress being dismantled. And Byzantine Empire as well. Like, actually, the Byzantine Empire is my favorite empire, but it was decaying from the inside. These two empires just both decayed from the inside. That's how they lost it. The Moors lasted some decades longer than the Romans did, but they died out at pretty much the same time. And that's why I just love playing with those two factions. I've played a lot with Byzantine Empire and Crusader Kings 2. It was only in Crusader Kings 3 that I only played with all Andalus. Anyways, I think I've really gone over my time here, so thank you for watching. The next one I will actually play in it. So have a good day.